Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 21st, and well, there it was, a nice little bounce back off of, it was a pivot in the orange, but what we had was the short-term buyers crossing above the fading shorts, and that led to enough short cover rally that we really produced some nice gains off of it. We've pretty much gone absolutely nowhere, which is sort of within our expectations. I know there's been a lot of doom and gloom talk out there, but it just really doesn't have much basis in what I think the readings are indicating at this particular point, just a consolidation. Interesting, though, that the NASDAQ, though, is close to breaking out to new highs. I mean, you've now reached the precipice there. You just had this small little wick portion that tested last time, and that will break into new highs. That would lift, I believe, the S&P as well. So we'll see how that plays out. The euro been making a nice bounce now. We just had that little bit of terrorism in Paris again, right before the election. Central banks have done their job in promoting the euro here, lifting it quite a bit. So all things being equal, if the U.S. economy continues to look sluggish, we should get right back into the range. So this is well within the expectations that the bigger players, it seems, want euro pricing to be. If there's a shocker on Sunday, we could see a major dump in the euro, so that's something to pay attention to. Bonds, of course, ridiculous move run. We can actually see it for the first time, the appearance of a short with the orange DLC moving above. We also had a flattening out of the Azure line, and it's, I talk about the blue and the Azure. Typically when you get that plus 13.5, you really want those to either be flat and or trending to the downside for the clear signals. I think the last time when it popped up right there, you can see that the blue and all of them were flat, and that led to a very significant decline. And that's typically what you want to look for when you see that configuration. Here it is again with oil, and they were pretty much just dead flat, and actually at a quite you can't really get any lower than the negative 34 right there. So that's trending lower for oil, not surprising with what we saw in those readings. And similar thing on gold, hasn't produced as much of a dip, and that's simply because you got super oversold with short-term buyers. So any pop back, and they're able to at least suspend it. But that rising blue again, and that's something we see on the ES too, still climbing. So it could take a little bit more, maybe a second dip up there. So what you look for is to see that orange really make a beeline to the negative side if it's going to sustain. Here's with the 5K. We had a beautiful reset starting of the day. Nice long for that. Short signal came in, but you can see just as the blue Azure rising didn't produce much. That's typically what you look for. And so then once we had the secondary round of it, they were actually flat. And that didn't produce much of a short, but it was still a short signal, and then immediately turned around back to a buy signal. And once that one happened, we were straight up and non-stop from there. Then we ended up with a few short signals developing as we got to the peak, but again, you can see it was a little bit of the rising. It wasn't until the second set that really started to produce anything, and really all it did was get down to what, the 61%, floated off that, and then we've got oversold again and back at it. So we're oversold at the peak highs, and that's something that's critical to be able to understand, to know that, hey, you can ignore this whole previous move. You know that you're oversold at this particular spot. No reason not to take advantage of it. And I think that becomes powerful, because most other indicators, they're all reflexive to overbought, and they're just going to maintain an overbought status within this. And clearly we can see that that's not where we're at this particular point. So all good stuff, and I think the market is still poised to continue to move higher, despite the headwinds that exist, because you still don't have much of a trade elsewhere, and that's just the reality of things. So as always, though, could you look for me on the Skype channel? Keep putting up charts as they're relevant, and I'm still working on making some more adjustments to these ABMs and secondary signals that will allow for easy entry as well as safe. And I think that we've seen that this has become very clear at only resetting under really the higher probability trades, and I think that's the fortunate part. I mean, when you look at this, dipped exactly at the right one there, dipped again, perfectly for the next setup, and just from that point, it's just a matter of writing your stops and That's not as complicated given the ABM values, not to mention just using even the fib level retraces here. So there you have it. As always, trade well. We'll talk again later.